I look a hot mess, but it's okay. We were popping the champagne. 3 years ago, a shutdown happened. We thought we were going to make it through. And if I knew then what I knew now, I would have been a lot, calmer and, I don't know, enjoyed the time. But anyway, we're popping the champagne because we made it through COVID and because we finna book some shit.
That's right.
All right. Count of 3. 1,
2, 3. Hooray! To COVID.
So COVID. Are we at? Oh, we're not there yet. Okay.
That is a lot.
I should have poured it a different way.
No, it's gonna go all the way down. See? I'd like to tell my COVID story.
Okay.
3 years ago today, I was working at Talbot's on 82nd and Broadway, or 84th, I don't remember. It was on Broadway. And we were told that they were closing the store down early because the city was going on lockdown. Now, this was foreign to me. I never heard anything like this before in my life because, is it snowing outside? That's cause for a lockdown, but people was getting sick and dying. This apocalyptic. And so I came home and I had a decision to make. At the time, I was living in this humble abode with my grandmother. Her name was Helen Alston. May she rest in peace. And I had to decide if I wanted to spend the next 2 to 3 weeks, because that's how long they said the lockdown was going to last.
Joke on us.
Right? If I wanted to spend it in this humble, albeit very small abode, or
cozy and comfy,
but here with my grandmother who had Alzheimer's. If I wanted to stay in here alone for 2 to 3 weeks. I decided that the answer was no, and immediately we fled the city. We fled like our name was Moses and Aaron, and we were bringing the Israelites from Egypt to the promised land. Let my people go. We fled to my parents' house in the state of New Jersey, where there is a house and there is a deck and there is a yard, so we'd be able to go outside without feeling like we were going to die, because that was the fear at the time. If you go to the store, you might die. And it was free. I didn't have to buy groceries with my, what was the check called?
Stimulus.
The stimulus check. My unemployment stimulus check. I didn't have to go and spend that on groceries. I got to save it all.
Oh, she was rolling in the dough.
I was. And so, in conclusion, we spent the next 6 months or so, 2-3 weeks went to 6 months. We spent that time in New Jersey, frolicking around and such, and then finally Talbot's reopened and I moved back to the city. But that's basically my lockdown. So I watched a lot of TV. I watched the Wonder Years, and I watched Boy Meets World. Those are the only 2 that I really remember binging. I watched Insecure. Oh, and then remember the Verses?
Yes, I wasn't always able to tap in because sometimes I was at work and sometimes I didn't even care. But I do remember them.
Those were a moment.
And during lockdown, I finally watched the Marvel films. I had never watched any of them except for Black Panther. I sat down and watched them in chronological order and fell in love. I watched Insecure for the first time. I did a lot of eating, a lot of gaining weight. And right before shutdown, I was actually filming. I wrote my own short film. We had 2 shoot days left. And now it's just on my laptop. But I'm going to get it back up and running. I'm going to start all over. Cheers. And now here I am 3 years later in this big old grand city in this nice cozy apartment where I'm living by myself to having a roommate.
Period.
And a dog.
And the dog.
And a dog. And this
Coco,
is us
where you at?
celebrating that we just made it through. And yeah, my story isn't as interesting as hers because for the life of me, I can't remember a lot of things about COVID. Because I was also one of those people who ran to the liquor store before it closed and got a whole lot of liquor.
You know, I
think
that's a trauma response.
Probably.
To, like, that you just blacked out a lot of that time.
If I could go back, I would figure out a way to get all those unemployment checks. Here.
Mm-hmm.
If it happens again, I'm getting it.
Period. You better take that government money.
Right, but reparations, bitch.
Right. And then, this was another show that I watched. Little Fires Everywhere with Kerry Washington and Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, I watched it too. Did it come out?
That show was so good. Yes,
Okay.
2020.
Okay, then I watched it then too. Oh, talk about The Society came out right after shutdown. Right after shutdown or around shutdown. And it was on the list to be renewed for Netflix, and then they canceled it because all these shows had to get canceled because of money, and I was pissed about that. Bring back motherfucking The Society, Netflix. Along with Grand Army, that was a good show. Like, you just be canceling every goddamn thing, but still hire me because I would love to be on one of your shows.
Thank you, God bless.
In conclusion.
In conclusion, thank you. And God bless.